I work in branding, so I work at a company called Wolf Olin, so I work on big strategy projects for big corporate clients, and then I'm part of a group that produces Cable, which is a trend forecasting report. You can tell from the name Cable, pretty interested in the intersection of branding and drugs, psychoactive substances, stress, subcultures, and illegal activity, which actually has a pretty long history. In the case of energy drinks, I'm drawn to them because I think they're a really deliberately crazy and out of control pop culture discourse. And like fashion, which is another thing that I'm really interested in, and my second talk, which is on June 22nd, will be more about that. People think that energy drinks are superficial, trashy, bad for you, full of things that are going to hurt you and society. And I basically think that everything that's wrong with the world is kind of automatically interesting. So I'm also going to tell you a few reasons why I think energy drinks are interesting, and then I'll take you through a bunch of videos that I think show what's at stake with energy drinks and their branding, and why we should care about them, and also just weird stuff that I found on the internet. So basically, energy drinks are, for one reason, interesting because they're a giant market. They make up $8.6 billion in sales in the US, and that's 12 times more than it was 10 years ago. In Western Europe, it's tripled 3 times to about $5 billion a year, so it's a giant, giant market. I also think that unlike many other things that have giant markets, energy drinks are really cool. That's sort of my opinion. But I think that they've done a really good job of connecting to things in culture that are cool, like extreme sports, raves, pushing it to the max, and have actually done it in a way that actually seems cool all the time. But more than that, they have a more sort of varied array of things that they do in messaging about their products than most other things. So they can jump out of space and also have a sexy girl on stage, and it kind of makes sense. It's all part of this one discourse. Another big reason that I'm interested in energy drinks is what I just mentioned, that people think that they're fatal, that they're going to kill you, that they're dangerous and evil. And they basically align themselves with sort of non-righteous cultural attitudes, so things being really sugary and fake and superficial. Instead of trying to sort of balance this out or hide it, they take all of that to the max. And then what's more than that, they actually taking it to the max itself as their sort of the song that they're singing as a category, which I think is pretty interesting. Also in a time when a lot of big companies, we'll see this in some of the videos, try and align themselves with sustainability and being really personal and folksy and not a big corporate monster. Energy drinks are really about unsustainability. They're about just maxing it out, crashing and burning. They're really un-DIY. They're not personal. They seem very foreign. They do not seem man-made. They're really not homemade at all, and I think that's pretty fascinating. So basically my argument is that I think that energy drinks are really particularly interesting compared to other types of consumer goods because they respond really literally to the zeitgeist. So when you're thinking of branding an energy drink, you're thinking about what energy talks like, feels like, works like, and that's actually what economics itself does in a lot of ways. So my argument is that energy drinks as a category demonstrate the logic and aesthetics of collapsonomics, which is a silly word that I love, that basically means the study of economies and societies on the verge of a nervous breakdown, which I think that ours is, and which is also what the Expo exhibition is about in a lot of ways. So, let's watch some videos. We're going to start with the Mac Daddy of all energy drinks, which is Red Bull. So, Kevin, go for it.
I think it's human nature to want to explore. Find your mind and go beyond it.
that's 2012, and then this next video is 2011. Go for it. The difference between these two, I think, shows how fast energy drinks have been changing.
Red Bull gives you wings.
But in other markets, energy drink advertising has been pretty advanced for a long time. So what you'll see in this next video, which is a pretty good overview of the way that the kind of contemporary take on what branding is how significant drinks are to all of that. So let's look at this one. But what I think is pretty from soda to information. And a lot of what contemporary branding is about is trying to prove that branding is more than the difference between Coke and Pepsi. This is the type of thing that is used often as an example, but is so frequently used as an example that I actually think it tips us off to the fact that it's actually, there's more there. And even the fact that they showed wine as an example in the beginning shows that branding has always been very intimately related specifically with drinks and beverages, which is another reason why I think energy drinks are interesting. A lot of people, when explaining the growth in energy drinks, look at it as a way of getting past the dualism of Coke and Pepsi into inventing all these new categories. And also, kind of another truism of contemporary branding is that it's better to invent something new with your marketing money than just message around things that already exist, because that's real, whereas the other one is just marketing, which I don't really think is necessarily true. But basically, this shows that sort of difference where energy drinks aren't necessarily anything particularly new. They're not just soda reskinned, they're sort of next soda. And I actually would argue that actually is innovation in and of itself, and when people talk about innovation in different ways, they're just tripping. But this next video will show a little bit about the literal connection between energy drinks and information.
So it's time to go ahead and do the energy drink test with the Apple iPhone 5. So here we go to energy drink. So let's go ahead and do this. So we have different, flavors and stuff that we are going to go ahead and try here. So let's see here. Put my Apple iPhone 5 over here. So we're just going to go ahead and start off by opening the first boy. And it's like, yeah, it's like energy drink. Red, yeah. There's some kind of Red Bull, sugar free. Yeah. Oh shit. Ooh. Oh, come on, have fun. I know you can do this. Of course, the famous Red Bull, the non-sugar-free variants. Of course, it's the sugar. Got another boy left. Some kind of blue day or something. Yeah. Oh, it's blue. Yeah. Cool. Let's see, we got another boy there. Oh. So that was basically just a quick test here with this Apple iPhone, as you can clearly see over here. Hopefully it's
videos are going to give a little bit of context around what's called the human energy crisis, which I think is a big reason why energy drinks have been so important and why videos like the one we just saw happen. So let's watch the next two in a row.
The business world today, I think, is experiencing stress at levels that are beyond anything that I've certainly never seen before. The executives and the thought leaders in companies are tighter wound, they're kind of fragile because they're being bombarded on so many different levels. Stress is coming from them at every conceivable level, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. We see people that in organizations that are massive in size, that have been pinnacles of strength and stability, completely evaporate in literally just a few weeks. All of our assumptions have been challenged. We see people who have really a great sense of value for their families, and yet they have so little time to invest in their families, and they are terrorized by the possibility they may not be able to provide for their families. Physically, they feel like they're not taking good care of themselves. On the emotional side, they're bombarded from everywhere. Mentally, they are completely exhausted because people are looking for insights, new solutions, and they simply don't have the creativity that they need to actually solve the riddles. And the riddles are coming every single day. And spiritually, they wonder, what is it all about? Why am I doing this? They have a crisis of purpose that's going deep into their soul.
We have an energy crisis going on in our culture today. If you ask anyone, do you ever feel like you run out of time? They go, absolutely yes. Do you feel like you run out of energy? I mean, are you tired at the end of the day? Absolutely yes. Do you ever go longer than 4 hours without eating? Are there ever days you don't connect with your loved ones the way you'd like to? If so, answer yes. And then to a person, they all answer yes. And then, do you think your values ever get compromised because of your job? In other words, whether it's your family or your volunteering or your faith, whatever it is, do you think it ever gets compromised? And the answer is absolutely yes. That collision, feeling like I run out of time, feeling like I run out of energy, feeling like my routines and my actions are weak, suddenly my values are compromised. For a lot of people, this is a train wreck. They can't sleep at night, but instead of looking at their habits, they're so fried that they'll go to their doctor and they'll ask for sleep medication. Intimacy is out the window. Their connection with their family is gone. We have got to get a handle on the concept of prevention and wellness. We can't just treat the problem. We can prevent the problem through energy management.
And outside, the debate rages. Oil, energy, the environment. It is the story of our time, and it is definitive and all-encompassing, and it leaves no one untouched. Because make no mistake, this isn't just about oil companies. This is about you and me, and the undeniable truth that at this moment there are 6.5 billion people on this planet. And by year's end, there'll be another 73 million. And every one of us will need energy to live. Where will it come from? This is Chevron's challenge each day. Because for today and tomorrow and the foreseeable future, our lives demand oil. But what's also true is that we can provide it more intelligently, more efficiently, more respectfully. That we'll never stop looking for alternatives. That an oil company can practice and espouse conservation. Yes, we are an oil company, but right now we're also providing natural gas, solar, hydrogen, geothermal. Because we live on this planet too. This is who we are, in 180 countries. Not corporate titans, but men and women of vision. 58,000 citizens of the world. Liberals and conservatives. Engineers and scientists. Pipeline welders and geologists. Husbands and wives. Part-time poets and coaches. People who daily try to find newer ways, cleaner ways to Humans have always reached for what seemed impossible, because it is then that we find a way. Tell us it can't be done, then watch as we tap the greatest source of energy in the world. Ourselves. This is the power of human energy.
So, that, I think, is one of the best corporate videos ever in terms of being the most comprehensive summary of ways that big corporations have tried to frame themselves in the public. So literally saying, we are not big corporate titans, we're your coach, we're your friend, we're not just conservative, we're liberal. And also saying that these problems are giant and inescapable, so that these issues, these large infrastructure issues and big social problems that will, as they said, leave nobody untouched, and there's absolutely no way of escaping them, at the end of the video become your problem for you to manage with the help of the Human Performance Institute from the video before, when everything in your life seems to be falling apart horribly. You can go consult about how you can maybe take a bath with aromatherapy candles and solve these major issues of intimacy or lack of purpose. And so I'm not saying that oil is literally the same thing as human energy, because that's not true. But I think that the two are very intimately related. And energy drinks, in their wackiness, I think sometimes point to the kind of lunacy of our kind of public conversation around energy, so which you can see in the next video. Comes from a sort of magical trick that is probably happening in secret and probably doesn't line up with the way that you think that the world works, is actually a much larger sort of story in the way that we talk about energy. So the next video that I want to show you is an interview with a businessman who has a website called The Bulletproof Executive, which I highly recommend checking out. And it has to do with the issue of staying up and productivity and managing personal energy, especially among the very rich and successful.
This episode of London Real is sponsored by Expo. If you live in Europe or the UK, get all of your favorite Onnit products like Alpha Brain, TrueTech Sport, even the Bulletproof Coffee from Expo. You get it in a matter of days, no foreign exchange, no customs, no problem. Go to xbrain.co.uk and check it out.
I have to ask you about a topic which is almost synonymous with you, which could be one of the greatest marketing ploys ever done in the history of biohackers, but that's with Provigil, which is a...
marketing ploy? What's up? It took you for 8 years straight. I this.
I'm just saying, when people think of Provigil, they think of you now, which is it's just ridiculous, but it's great. But you've been a proponent of Provigil for a long time. I believe it started off as a narcolepsy drug. I think it's very possible Paul G. might have a little experience with Provigil, but I was wondering if you could tell us what it is, how you've used it, if you took any today, and for people that don't know, if you could explain what it does.
So Provigil is a drug, like you said, designed for narcolepsy. It came out in the mid-90s, and the stuff's amazing. I took it every day for 8 years, and I started taking it because I actually had some brain fog. I was going to work and doing my MBA full-time, and working at a startup that we sold for $600 million. So very high performing. This is the only executive MBA that's the same number of classroom hours as a full-time MBA. So it's basically full-time MBA, full-time work, balls out for 2 years. It would be extremely stressful.
You're in Philadelphia the whole time.
I was actually in San Francisco. They fly the professors to San Francisco for this one. So I was down on the corner, Howard and Spear Street by the water, by the Bay Bridge. It's a pretty cool location. And they let you clump all your class time into like 3 insane days of like 12 and 14-hour days. You get lectures and you do work and all that. It was a really awesome experience. We're an executive MBA from Wimbo West. But that on top of working full time was just a lot. And I thought, you know, I'm going to try Provigil. I went to the doctor, got a prescription for it, and honestly, the doctor thought I was hitting him up for Adderall, because a lot of students want to take Adderall.
Okay. This is 8 years ago.
This was more than that. This was 10 or so years ago. I took it for 8 years straight, and I take it in varying amounts now.
Okay.
So I just did like pretty much every day for 8 years. I took off, you know, weekends here and there, but for the most part, it was always there. And
did you consider Adderall?
I tried Adderall first. In fact, insurance companies want you to try Adderall first. And man, I don't think that's good for you, for one thing. But another thing, man, I don't know, whenever I take it, I'm like, don't touch my skin. Like, it made me tweak a little bit. It's like, you know? So some people can take it and they feel really good. But people who tried Adderall, even for long periods of time, a lot of them, when they try modafinil or Provigil, the trade name for it in the US, they're like, it's like meth, but cleaner. Like, you don't get the buzzy high. You just feel more like yourself, and that's pretty profound. And your ability to pay attention just goes way up.
It could be the new slogan, like meth, but cleaner.
You know, I'm sure the drug companies would you know, just love that. And in fact, people accuse me after I was on the Joe Rogan show of being like a paid shill for the pharmaceutical industry. I'm like, I'm all over big pharma as like, you guys suck, right? But this is a drug that actually does some amazing stuff, and I think the safety profile is pretty good on it. And people say, oh, there's no long-term studies, but there's lots of things that are sold around since, let's see, the company got sued in 1997 for claiming it improved performance, so they quit marketing it that way. But it still does improve performance, they're just not legally allowed to say it does. So I'll say it does. Like, okay, it works.
You've never been shy about it, you've never hidden the fact that you've been taking it.
I actually put modafinil in my LinkedIn profile almost 10 years ago, right? And I figured
Consciously.
Yeah, I figured it was like this. People who see it and know what modafinil is will want to talk to me. And people who see it and don't know what it is will just ignore it. And
marketing genius.
Well, it seems like 1 in 10 Silicon Valley executives that I've talked to over the years, they'd see that. And I also put like yoga and meditation and stuff in there. And they'd be like, and all of a sudden they'd open up and tell me all this stuff that they also did, but it was like this little secret. So I'm like, screw it, why should it be a secret? Like, if it works for me, why shouldn't it work for, you know, 25 women working really hard? If it's not going to harm.
So this goes on for like 20 minutes. It'll be quite entertaining, but you guys can watch it on your own time. But I think that there are a bunch of things that are interesting. We want to make sure that it doesn't actually make us watch the next 20 minutes of it, so that would be boring, sort of. Basically, this is an amazing demonstration of the sort of agro worldview of energy drinks expressed through the very, very successful. And it's sort of something that we know about even from the 80s, from Wall Street, from the movie Wall Street, this sense of like really taking it to the max and being people who break the rules both in society or perhaps legally, but also do things that shouldn't be possible. This is like the new version of being a master of the universe, is finding a way to sort of gain energy so that you have more of it, and so that you can be in control of more energy in the world. And what's, I think, really interesting about it is that the sense of it being a secret society. So the sense that it's a secret society and it's out in the open, but only the people who are in the know really know, is actually something that is true of energy drinks in general, but particularly true of these very kind of special uber performer stimulants. So we can look at the next video.
A kind of secret society, a hidden edge discovered by some very successful Americans. We discovered sales of a little pill are not just booming. We have traced a 74% increase in these sales in 4 years. So what is it? Does it work? And what is the risk? Here's ABC's Dan Harris.
They are all around us, a secret society of the successful. The lobbyist who wakes up at 5 for 2 full workouts before work.
It's amazing. I just don't get it why more people don't know about it.
The computer programmer who can now write code for 12 hours at a time.
It helps you focus up for exceptionally long periods of time.
And the brain researcher finding connections nobody else is seeing.
It's just a clear day. The fog isn't there.
And they all say they owe it to this drug, Provigil. It's only approved for narcolepsy, sleep apnea, or for people who work irregular hours. But many people are now taking it for an off-label use to boost energy and focus. The drug, which excites the mind so much it's been nicknamed Viagra for the brain, is quietly being used by military pilots, pro athletes, and pro poker players. On the internet, there are hundreds of sites evangelizing for Provigil, explaining how to get your doctor to prescribe it to you, or how to get it without a prescription. In fact, there is literally one site called BuyProvigilWithoutPrescription.com. Many Provigil users are secretive, but not Dave Asprey.
So, this .com. I think that this says, I think that it's really literally said there that there's an idea that there's a secret society of people who know how to play the game of energy better than us, and that they're using special tips and tricks that are involved with the black market and are illegal or being used off-label in order to do the things that actually power our whole legal economy. It's actually pretty well expressed in that little spot. And other advertising has sort of taken up this same theme in areas that are related to energy drinks but aren't exactly energy drinks, like Taco Bell. So we'll watch this Taco Bell commercial that's next.
Good night, Mr. Goldblatt.
Good night.
finding a way to live more. I think what's kind of amazing about that commercial is the way that there are all these explosions and lasers and weird lights. That is definitely something that's part of the way that energy drinks are shown in advertisements and in culture, but also the sense that in staying up all night or being able to stay up when other people are sleeping and do things that maybe are a little bit illegal, like eating a taco in a parking lot, there's some relationship to beating death. And that there's something potentially evil or fatal about that. So let's watch the next video, which really sort of takes us to the next level.
And there's a so-called health drink out now. It's one of these so-called energy drinks. And I want everyone to be aware of these things. First of all, these energy drinks are nothing but highly caffeinated, unhealthy drinks. There's nothing healthy about them. And unfortunately, you find these drinks in health food stores around the country, around the world. And the advertisers on TV have kids using these drinks. I even met a very wise man in some areas say he gave up coffee because he knew it wasn't healthy. But he's replaced it with these energy drinks that are probably more unhealthy. These drinks have names like Red Bull and these other drinks, but there's a drink that I wasn't even aware of it until somebody sent me an email, and the drink is called Monster Energy. or at least that's a slogan. But very interesting. If you look at this video right now, and this, you know, when you think about symbols, everybody, you know, the advertisers know what they're doing, and when we look at Monster Energy, look at this picture of Monster Energy right now. This is what Monster Energy is. This is the drink right here, Monster Energy. So we really can't tell the symbol here, what it really means, what it's saying, what it is. It just says Monster Energy. Most people, you know, unaware of this Monster Energy drink has Hail Satan, which is local. These three lines that seem to make up the letter M are actually three Hebrew letter waves, which are a numerical value of 6. And here's the chart of the Hebrew letters, and here's the wave right there, and then it's a numerical value of 6. And when you have this picture here with 3 of these lined up, then you look at this picture, 6. When you look at this, it even says here on the can, it says, "Unleash the beast." Anyone that's familiar with the Bible knows that 666 is supposed to be the mark of the enemy or the mark of the beast. Well, just look at this cartoon here of releasing the beast. And this, I think, is really a powerful thing. You know, I looked at the commercials, and the email was sent to me about the commercials on YouTube for Monster Energy's ads, and look at the 666, the wave, right in the eyes of this fellow here. Right in the iris, right there. In the Bible it says in Revelation 13:16, "He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive the mark on their right hand and on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark of the name of the beast, or the number of its name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. Well, look at these pictures below, everybody, and here you can see some more. There's 666 on the forehead, and here's a Monster's ad here, right on the right hand, 666. So we have to remember the symbols, the way symbols are used today, and the messages that they're actually sending. They don't use these symbols for no reason, folks. We are in the serious warfare here, spiritual warfare, and the biggest weapon is something that most people don't even know, these symbols. So people are under attack and they don't know it. Witchcraft is being used against the masses on a scale so broad that people can't even see it, what's truly going on. Remember what we say in the videos here at Twin Life Ministries. It's a narrow path. We have to get out of the world and escape this trap. We want everyone to be aware of these things, and as your watchman, I want to help warn you, and I'm blowing the shofar. So on these energy drinks. If you have any comments or questions, post them below.
Not the point. So obviously that's really funny, but I think it also speaks to a larger sense of unease, in a sense that all around us something bad is happening, and it's intimately related to corporate marketing. Again, this idea that energy drinks are somehow the most literal expression of this comes through here, where this idea of that the symbol itself shows how evil it is, I think speaks to this sense that energy drinks are somehow more closely or more literally related with big sort of problems in society or in the economy than other things. But it also, I think, speaks to something that is a big sort of phrase that is often used in connection to corporate marketing, which is drinking the Kool-Aid. I think that this sense that we're all imbibing things that are killing us ends up being channeled into the sense that it's in the Monster Energy drink can. And let's watch the next video because it shows some people drinking Monster Energy drink. Oh, no, okay. So I think we missed that one. Things get kicked out. Well, we can just go I can send it to you guys. It's just like some sexy chicks drinking Monster. There are like a million videos of people chugging Monster energy drink on YouTube, and I highly recommend them. But this one was kind of the sauciest. But I guess we're just going to move on to this next one. This is a prank that involves energy drinks. It was one of these YouTube videos that went viral, and it was on Jay Leno, so sort of bridge this sort of user-generated and sort of big mainstream media video landscape. And basically, I think that this woman's about to have a nervous breakdown, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it's energy drinks that put her there, because energy drinks are about having a collapse. So let's watch it.
This is Vital Energy. This is our drink. It's got as much caffeine as 2 Red Bulls, and we have 26,000 of these drinks in my house right now. My mom hates when they're on the first floor. She finds one, she'll throw it outside. So here's what we've done. It's our family room. Got a little over 1,000 cases in here. This is where they spend every night just chilling on the TV. And go into the living room. I'm feeling my mom's gonna race in here, get a little pissed. She's gonna look in here. She's gonna spin around, see her china cabinet, which is no longer filled with china. We got our Vital Energy. Now, my dad, his office is his little abode here. My dad is OCD, ADHD, and he absolutely loves his hat rack. So we toppled it over with some drinks. Now, where do we put the china? China's downstairs. My mom's lovely stuff. And this is where we store most of our drinks in our warehouse.
But I think what's really crazy about this one is that it's like the energy drinks are inescapable, they're everywhere, and more than that though, that it was this weird moment of like staging this moment of collapse. So it was a prank, it was sort of pre-organized, and so we can all sort of like watch it and say, oh, okay, we actually know why this happened. It's not like the types of freakouts that maybe the corporate executives who are going to the Human Potential Institute or Human Performance Institute are facing that seem to come from nowhere. This one came from a very clear source, which is that her son pulled an ingenious prank on her. But I think that this sense of this idea of staging collapse is a really important theme in the way that energy discourses are shown, especially in moving images. So let's watch the next video. collectively stage burnout and collapse, then we can feel really good about it and maybe get into the Guinness Book of World Records. But when it's happening all around us, it might be scary. I also think that there's something about this image of like these giant multicolored clouds that comes up again and again in these types of images. And I basically just think that's a really beautiful video that shows this very strange sort of new relationship between doing really over-the-top, wasteful, aggressive things in a way that can make everybody feel better together about what's happening around them. So the last video that we're going to show is probably one of my favorite commercials ever, and I think that it kind of encapsulates a lot of the themes of this video and of the other energy drink stuff we've been watching before. So.
Your life is your life. Don't let it be clubbed into dead submission. Beyond the watch. There are ways out. There is light somewhere. It may not be much light, but it beats the darkness. Beyond the watch. The gods will offer you chances. Know them. Dig them. You can't beat death, but you can beat death in life sometimes. And the more often you learn to do it, the more light there will be. Your life is your life. Know it while you have it. You are marvelous. The gods wait to delight in you.
So that's a Bukowski poem that Martin Kennedy put to images and music for Levi's, and basically I think it proves that Bukowski invented energy drinks. But I think that it is, I think the reason why I love that commercial so much is that I find it legitimately beautiful and moving, and it sort of troubles a lot of the sense sometimes of like, oh, this is silly, they might be doing things that are really slick and cool, but it's just advertising, with things that you might actually traditionally consider art or poetry or beautiful, and shows that it's a much more complicated, weirder, puffier cloud of smoke than that. So, I would encourage everyone to go drink an energy drink and really drink it down and live forever. So thank you. I'm giving another talk on June 22nd. It's about fashion-related metaphors in business and wearing all black. So if you want to know about that,